Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Yuri with the GT Nuts program, and today it's not a GT bike, but it's part of the Durrell umbrella, I guess you could say. This is a Mongoose Amplifier II. I think it's a 95 or 96, and real cool bike. It's incredibly light. You know, if anybody kind of is looking at the bike and you're like, wait a minute, this kind of looks like a lot of the new bike designs in a certain regard, you would actually be right. If anybody knows, this bike, Mongoose had licensed the Mongoose Amplifier and Amplifier II, or they were paying royalties or a licensing fee to Amp Research or because Horst-link had designed the 4-bar design, as we know, or the Horst-link that everybody is very familiar with because it's in a lot more bikes these days. The 4-bar design, you can even see it in the latest GT LTS sensor enforced bikes. I don't know so much of Fury because it has an high idler, or it has an idler pulley, so I don't know if it still qualifies, but anyway, yeah, when Specialized had bought the patent from Amp Research or Horst-link, you saw this design in a lot of their 4-bar FSR bikes, and so you'll see if you look at an Amp Research B4 or B4 not an Amp Research before, like but a B4 or the Amp Research B2 and B3s, this bike more resembles like the Amp Research B3 bikes. The cool story about this bike is I was looking for, it's hard to find these bikes, number one, in really good condition, and number two, at a good price, at a reasonable price. I was willing to pay a lot of money, but you know, not towards like 600 bucks. But there's a guy on PinkBike whose name is Jake, and he had listed this bike for, I think, maybe $100 or $80 or $100, something like that. And I saw that by the time I was looking for one of these bikes, he had put out the ad, so it was like the perfect timing, right? And the price was just, it was hard to say no, especially the frame actually looked more polished than it does now. I've ridden this bike quite a bit. I love it, and it's such a cool, it's an awesome bike, through and through. Really cool Mongoose, and the name, the little plate, the Mongoose plate here. And what's significant is this is one of those FTW bikes. If people don't know, if you're an old school person, rider, you'll know, but Frank the Welder. So the famous Frank the Welder was the guy who had welded these frames, from what I was told. I would imagine that's correct because I've heard that from a few old school riders. So you know, I've heard that from Jake and a bunch of old school riders. They're like, oh, it's a Frank the Welder Mongoose. Like, cool. So let's go over the bike front to back, or actually let me knock out the stuff I tend to forget. So these are for so I use the Volta Zero Light wheels. They're hard to find. They used to be on Bike Nashmar for like under 100 bucks. On a sale you could get them, the pair, for like 60, but average about 100 bucks including shipping. And of course, you know, things have changed since they're under a main cycling, you know, because Bike Nashmar and Performance Bicycle were basically under the same group. And you know, when the company went bankrupt, then A-Main Cycling took over, and they have a whole variety of products. It's just kind of, their website's a little bit haphazard, but yeah, I run these Kenda Navigals. These are the 26 by 2.1 tires. I think in the future I would love to put some Vittoria Mezcals on this. This bike is incredible. The weight is incredible. This bike weighs just like 24 pounds and some change in its current configuration. I run a race face. I run a RockShox SID fork. This is the popular fork I keep talking about in other videos. I moved it to this bike. It was owned by Jerry Vanderpool. This was an original SID, and it was not dual air, it was single air, but he put some new internals in here. It's a dual air fork, rebound adjust, and you can fill it with air on both sides on the top here and here. And I know he gave me brand new lowers, because these were, when I bought this fork. It was really chipped up. It was gross. I kept the uppers though. I know that because I remember the paint chipping here. But new lowers and new internals, hey, it's awesome. And the fork weight on here is roughly 2.1 pounds. Not a fork you want to be jumping though. It's a well-built fork. But it's very cross-country specific. So I think I have a Marzocchi Z1 fork in the same color. Ooh, awesome. And I think I would consider putting it on here. But this is going to be my Wednesday Night Worlds racer from time to time. I wanted to put a Paul's boxcar stem on here as opposed to the race face stem I've got. I wanted to get it a little bit shorter, but it seems okay. It's just when riding it, you're in a very XC position, as you can kind of tell. And I just wanted a shorter one, or even just kind of raise the bar. But I think I'll just kind of deal with this because I can't really, in its current configuration, a little bit uncomfortable for me to try jumping. So I think for most of the stuff I do at SeaTac, at the mountain bike races, this will fit the bill. Tapeworm, I think I could. I just have to bypass certain jumps and stuff because I don't want to blow out that cartridge. So and there's one thing, if hopefully somebody on the forum can help me out on. I've been looking around pretty heavily. I want to ride this bike more, but I'm aware there's these bushings here, and I'm trying to find out. I contacted Amp Research just as a long shot to see if they knew who makes the bushings. I haven't taken this apart yet to see. I don't want to put too many miles on this bike and find out I can't get replacement bushings. Plus, since these are intact, I also for sure want to make sure that if I had to get these custom made, which might be the route I have to go anyway, that they're very intact and I'm not shaving off millimeters and it's not accurate. So I want as close to an accurate replacement bushing. This swing arm looks really basic to take apart. You know, you want to do this bolt here and on the other side. And this shock, it's kind of neat. I didn't know this until I heard this from somebody. But you know, the mount goes past the second bolt. I guess you could slide this out a little bit and change the head angle. I was like, wow, that's cool. I did not know that, which would sort of make sense when I had seen how this rear shock is designed. Because once you tighten, like, I was like, once you tighten these down, they're pretty solid. But I was like, oh, I guess that's kind of a cool feature. So I'm doing that. Don't mind the brake cable issue. These are Shimano like Alivio V brakes, and I'm running cool, and these work really well. These actually, believe it or not, it's gonna sound, don't kill me, I'm just saying, they work close to the XTR V brakes. I think if I were to really bling this out, I would do Magura HS33 brakes, but I kind of like how light this bike is. So even though it's not adding too much weight, it's just I enjoy how light this bike is. And on Cool Stop salmon pads, or the dual compound salmon and black material. Here I run the Shimano SLX crankset in a 175 length, and sit in the bottom bracket is the Shimano SLX external bottom bracket as well. Risse Racing, Kevin Risse had actually replaced the shock for me for under $100, which is nice. I sent the original shock for service, and let me get on the other side. The original shock did not look like this at all. It was you'd have to see old videos or old pictures on Google, but back then it was just a small basketball needle that adapter that you'd have to put to fill these. He gave me pretty much a brand new rear shock, and all I have to do is attach it to the typical Schrader. You know, it's a Schrader valve, so it's nice. And he did it for under $100. He jacked up the price on his shocks, so I had really lucked out. You know, $100 versus 300. I think I paid 90 plus 90, and that included shipping back. So it was a great deal. The only difference was when they replaced this shock body, it was really snug in here, so I had to separate these out just a little bit so it would slide in. But it's a great shock. This combination. I mean, it's an impressive handling bike for what it is. It's a very sharp XC racer, climbs really well. Descending, you kind of have to be a little bit wise about your line choice, that's for sure. And you know, I don't want to ride the hell out of this bike. Oh, and this is an Amazon chainring. This is one of those sub $15 narrow wide chainrings, like Decus or whatever, or JG Bike or something. And yeah, I couldn't find a good chainring that I wanted, because they were all sold out during COVID. If you're watching this post-COVID, I'm glad you're alive. If you're not watching, if you're watching this during COVID, you understand what I'm talking about. It's just hard to find parts. And it's running a 1x10 system. These are the Avid speed lever brakes. I like, they're snappy. I mean, think of like the XTR V brake levers are the only ones that I like above these, but these are pretty darn close. I actually like these better than the I forget, it's the one with the knob. I forget it's the FR23 or this is the FR23, but these Avid brake levers are my favorite, by Avid. Oh, because you know, you can adjust the knob and it brings it closer, but I like the feel of these the best, combined with the Shimano Olivio or Acera level V brakes. Here it's a Shimano 10-speed rear shifter. I like it. It's a reliable shifter. That's why you see it on many of my 10-speed bikes. I'm running a flat bar with a sweep. I think it's a 5-degree sweep. It's a race face turbine and a 31.8. And this is the race face XE series stem. I'd like to replace it at some point. And then here's a race face half Nilsson grips. And of course my favorite dropper is the Paul Components in black this time, and with a P&W. This is a Rainier dropper. It doesn't have the suspension like my RTS one does, because this is pretty plush. This is it's not as plush as the GT LTS, but it's definitely more plush than the GT RTS. So you know, the RTS is a little bit of it's a more rigid bike in a way, so that's why I'm not running it this way. But this was from the refurb program. I got this for this suspension on the refurb, and 27.2s in an external are hard to find. Oh, I forgot to say, I gotta add this seat post is also, I think it was like a 26.8, and you could see it better here. There's a lot of wall thickness, to be honest. It's definitely more than what you see in a contemporary bike, but the wall thickness here is about, yeah, also like 2.6 or something. And anyway, I shaved this down. I had reamed it out, and gotten this to shaved off a little material so I could fit a 27.2 dropper. So it's originally 26.8, and now it's a 27.2. It fits a 27.2 dropper post or seat post if you wanted to run rigid. You know, and so if you're interested in having to do that, ream it, and you're comfortable with having to, you're not taking that much material. I think if anything, when I remeasured everything, you know, you get an Apex tool and you'll find that you really didn't take off that much. I think it's like barely 0.2 millimeters of material inside, and but when you remeasure the wall thickness, it's like 2.4 millimeters. So from 2.6 to 2.4, nah, it's not that big. And I'm not doing heavy rides on this, so it's not gonna be, you know, like a big deal. I know some people would be like, oh, it's a big deal, your bike is gonna explode. And like, look, it's my bike, number one. If you just want to be a dick about it and be an armchair engineer, like, you know, it's like, why can't you just appreciate the bike and just leave it alone? Yeah, that's always my thing. People tend to shit on other people. It's like shit on other people's parades, which is annoying. So it's just like, I'm not saying everybody should do that. I'm not saying the world has to do that. I'm just saying that this is what I've done and it works for me. Like, that's all. And if it inspires you to to follow the same, if it inspires you to do something similar, I'm rooting for it. Awesome. You know, I just want a bike that I can ride and enjoy. That's all I'm at. Like, that's basically what I'm doing. That's why I do all these bike check videos, so you can see how I've taken an old bike and what I've done with it. And if you are interested in, if you've entertained the idea and you've never gone through with it, you just wanted to see if somebody else done it and how that turned out, like, that's all You know, that's all I'm after, you know, like sparking ideas and letting you guys, folks, or guys and gals, folks, everybody know, you know, the kind of bikes that I have in my fleet that I enjoy riding. You know, this is such a really beautiful bike. You know, I use Jaguar housing. Those are my favorite housings to use. They're smooth. They give you the ferrules. I don't mind me sounding annoyed, I am, but you know, they use the ferrules. They clamp real easy. I've had very good luck, and they come in different colors. Actually, you can tell it's not like I was trying to color coordinate here. I just took any of the housings that I still had available. You know, it's been hard to find housing, so I said, screw it, I'll just use what I have left. And I have spools of brake and cable housings in different colors, but I had used up all the black, so that's kind of why it's these colors. But I think it works out right. Anyway, this is a 1x10 setup. I normally run a 32 tooth chainring on most of my bikes. And then here, this is this is the latest Shimano long cage Duor 10-speed rear derailleur. That's available. You can find it on eBay. I think Crimson Sales is the one that sells it, a vendor that sells it. But what's cool about this one is it is a direct mount. You can just remove this. But what this does is you don't have to get the goat link. This works pretty well. It's for a 10-speed system. I guess you could throw it on lesser gears. Don't crucify me if I'm wrong, but I'm just saying it works on, it's a 10-speed rear derailleur, Shimano rear derailleur. And then this is another no, I take this back. This is actually a, no, this is a Sunrace cassette. Let me see. Yeah, it is. I can see the lock ring. So this is a Sunrace 1142. I use 42 is my standard tooth. And especially now that I'm road cycling on a compact with a 28 tooth in the back, a 42 sounds pretty awesome. So it's oh man, it's a road cycling. I'm not saying that I've ditched mountain biking completely. It's just I've done a decent amount of road cycling these days. I would go into why, but that's like that's more of a drinking story. So there's that. I actually got this Bontrager water bottle mount from when GT sold me the 2020 Sascar Elite Alloy. They left a water bottle cage on here and happened to be this Bontrager one. I was like, wait, why a Bontrager? Well, whatever. But you know, I forget, like, the world should forgive them. But it's just kind of funny. It was just kind of just threw that on, like, we just need to make this bike through marketing. I don't know. It's just kind of, it makes me laugh to this day. But yeah, it's got a fancy Bontrager water bottle cage, and I use just a rubber tube. There's no glue or anything. It's just, you wind this as tight as hell, and then you have, because these are square chain stays, it was like you really had to get that wrapping in. And then I just did this because it was coming undone a little bit too much, so I said screw it, I'll just use 5 zip ties and hope for the best. But anyway, that is it. It's kind of cool, I should say. I guess they must have done the math and said, hey, we can't put a water bottle mount here on this particular frame. We can put one here. We'll put one at the bottom, you know, at the front wheel mud catcher. I don't know, like, because I had tried this. If you mount it this way, your shock moves. If you have, like, if you're not running a 20-ounce water bottle, even if you are actually, it comes pretty close, and you're like, eesh, I don't know. So that will never ever get a water bottle mount. I think it must be for a different time in life. But anyway, that is it for the Mongoose Amplifier II. It's finally done. You know, if you have any questions, or you know for a fact where to find, like, where I could find bushings for this frame, especially in the front pivot. I don't know so much in the back, but that would be helpful if somebody knew. But if you do, drop in the comments. I would appreciate that. Other than that, you know, I thought I would take advantage of the weather. Sorry I haven't put out a video in a long time. What happened is during my move, you know, unfortunately my mother-in-law died of ovarian cancer. So, you know, it's just been going through that process and stuff, and but we're getting through it, you know, kind of good. The weather's just real nice, you know, so it's just added, you know, some unfortunate events. But I thought now that the rain has cleared up and the weather is nice, I should at least knock out a few videos for my subscribers. Because I appreciate all of you that have gone on to listen to me babble or watch my shredded edits. Eventually I will do a shredded edit. I'd like to do it a little different. I just don't have a buddy to who wants to hang out and record. You know, believe it or not, I don't have a lot of my close friends don't mountain bike. So some road bike, but not really any of a mountain bike. My buddy Vince does, and you know, it's like when I ride with him and a few of the other guys, that's more like, you know, I don't want to eat up their time doing it, you know. So my friend Manish, he's the only one who seems like really okay with like filming, so I appreciate him doing that. Otherwise it's just me attaching cameras. I think I'm trying to find some new places to ride because I live, as you guys can tell, like, maybe you can't, but I actually live closer to town, like in the city. So I'm hoping to find some spots where I can free ride a little bit, and kind of change up my shredded edit videos. I think I'll call them something different. But also, what I'm going to also add onto my YouTube channel, just for a lot of you, is I'm going to do, people have asked, like, for me to do a mountain bike parts review, and it's just because obviously I use a lot of the same parts for a lot of my bikes, and I could give a lot of you folks some real insight if they work, what troubles I've had or haven't had. So one of them is going to be Magura brakes, rim brakes, and the MT5 MT7s. I think I'll try to do some tech shop videos. The lighting in my garage isn't the greatest, but we'll try to make do. Won't be fancy productions, but I'm planning to add some different material, like some different learning things on my YouTube channel, like things that hopefully are useful for people. So thanks for watching. I think, yeah, that's gonna be my next bit. So I will see you again in the future. All right, take care.